And I think an element of luck involved, and I will never reject the opportunity for just good old-fashioned fortuity. The NFL, to its credit, constantly looking to tweak, to revise, to change the protocols in order to react to the way that the pandemic is unfolding. And for the first time, we've seen the NFL make a change on a rule that it previously had put in place. This is the 62-player limit for game days. It started as a reduction of the travel party, and the thinking was if we're going to have the road team down to 62 players to have competitive balance, the home team can only have 62 players present at the games. And I was told last week that there's a problem with this potentially when you start forcing teams to leave guys behind. Then they potentially end up in situations where they get exposed to the virus. There's an argument to be made. It's better to have them with the team. It reduces their risk of exposure and the risk of an outbreak. So the NFL, to its credit, one of the worst things you can do if you make a mistake is double down. The NFL reversing course and saying, we're not going to continue with the 62-player limit. They recognize there's value in having those players with the team in the team hotel. That's one of the requirements. You have to be at the team hotel the night before the game to be at the game the next day. This is just one less opportunity, typically on a Saturday night, for a guy to be doing something that could get him exposed to the virus, Charean.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. And the other thing it does also is give teams more flexibility. It's up to them how many players they travel with. And if they want to travel with however many, then they'll have those options available to them 90 minutes before the game starts. So I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great change. We've seen a lot of these moves by the NFL this season because they've had to show flexibility because they didn't know what this season was going to entail. And so they've made moves based on what they've learned about the virus moving forward. And I think that's good. I'm with you. You can't just sit here and say, well, we're going to continue with these rules because these are the rules we put in place at the start of the season. This isn't a normal season. You have to be flexible, and they've done that, and kudos to the NFL. And if they get through this thing, Mike, without a Week 18, I think we're all going to be amazed, but we certainly applaud the efforts they've done to get through this season.
And one thing they're willing to do is make changes, even though it's possible for some to say, why didn't you do it sooner? Why didn't you do it sooner? You should have done it sooner. If you would have done it sooner, you wouldn't have had that outbreak or this problem or that problem. And I say that because the other change that was communicated to the teams in a memo dated December 3, from now on, the 2 days after a game, whenever the game is, if it's Monday game, Tuesday, Wednesday, if it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, etc., 2 days after a game, facility is dramatically restricted to access. Coaches can be in their own offices. They can't meet. There can be no meetings. Players can come in for treatment and exercise, but there are limits on how many of them can gather and where they can gather. They always have to be in a place where there are surveillance cameras, so there can be monitoring of whether or not the social distancing and the mask wearing is respected. But this is an outgrowth of the measures that were put in place this week. Monday, Tuesday, all facilities shut down because of the concern that guys were around others over the Thanksgiving holiday. I think the NFL realized, hey, this is a pretty good deal. I mean, the first 2 days of the week after a game are the slowest. Let's go ahead and keep everyone out. Do everything virtually. You don't need to be in the facility. Let's give the facility a breather, and then we still do the testing in between. You can pick off some positives that way before they ever get back in the building. That's smart. And it should have been done sooner, but it's okay that they're doing it now.
Yeah, Mike, and at this point in the year, let's be clear about this too. Normally, this time of year, a lot of teams do this. They don't have players come in on Monday and Tuesday just because they're worn down at this point in the season. They're trying to keep them fresh. Playoff teams are trying to keep their players fresh. So they give them Monday and Tuesday off unless they need medical attention in the training room. They're not at the facility anyway normally. Tons of teams do that. And so this was a good time of year to do it. I think it's smart for them to do it. And it just avoids contact between players, among players, for 2 more days and really limits that down. They're doing what they can. You still need practice time, obviously, so they've got to get in there and practice. They can't do this every day of the week. But I think this is really smart. It still gives you on a normal work day, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday in the building to practice and do what you need to do within those 4 days.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.